Being grown is probably one of the biggest illusions that as children we're taught that we aspire to be. I'm grown. I can't wait till I'm grown so I can do what I want to do. And we look at our parents as a standard. No matter how they really live, they could be living wrong. They could be living sinful, cussing. They could be sleeping around, not married, doing whatever they want to do. That's the biggest illusion that the enemy plants in the minds of kids. I can't wait to be grown so I can do what I want to do. You're free to do whatever you want to do, but whatever you do might not bring you freedom. The Bible clearly says that our parents disciplined us the best way they thought they could, but God disciplines us for our good so that we might share in his righteousness. Now, a lot of people are prideful because of the fact that they're grown. And the problem with that pride is, the illusion is that you have the permission to stop being pure when you're grown. When your parents tell you you can't do certain things, the illusion is that your parents are withholding something from you by not allowing you to act a certain way or be a certain way. The illusion is they're withholding that from you, and you can't do it until you're grown, like cuss and stay out all night and basically live sinful the way that they're living. That's the biggest illusion. And that when you're grown, that's the permission slip that you got to be who you want to be, to act how you want to act. Basically, this free-for-all of no morality that you get to partake in once you're grown, right? And once you think you're grown, because you got kids who they wanted to be adults the entire time. They wanted to be domineering. They wanted to be controlling. They wanted to be over everything. Even as a kid, they never really liked the idea of childlike wonderment, and they thought the other kids was annoying. They wanted to be grown the entire time. So you've got those type of kids, and then you've got the kids who were just kids, who love being a kid, love being happy. The problem is that the kids who couldn't wait to be grown, the kids who couldn't wait to be able to do what they seen their parents do, even though they didn't know that what their parents were doing was wrong, it wasn't pure, if you didn't have a good example growing up. Those are the kids who grew up and couldn't wait to establish themselves as adults. Except in a child's mind, they thought that, hey, I'll be better than my mom, or I'll be better than my dad because, hey, I'll be the first one to go to college out of my family. And everything that these kids think is typically on the backdrop of either poverty or lack of education. And they think, hey, I'll be better. I'll be the first one to go to college, or I'll be the first one to own a house. And then they go down this slippery slope of value based on socioeconomic status. They go down this slippery slope of thinking that because I did this and I became this, that it gives them some type of distinction between somebody else who didn't. It's not a moral distinction. Not I'll never lie like mom did, or I'll never do this like dad did. They go down typically a socioeconomic status wormhole that says, hey, I'll be better than my parents. They end up embarking on a path of socioeconomic status and worldly wisdom. In the pride of being grown and the pride of being so assured of yourself, you end up being a self-proclaimed sarcastic intellect. And if things don't look like the way the world sees them, then they couldn't line up with what is true, because a lot of people and a lot of fake Christians are more impressed with status and what it looks like somebody is, that they will give more credibility to somebody who went to college, or somebody who owns a certain thing or owns a certain house. But in reality, God created everybody. Then you have the people who understand that there's materialistic people around us, and so they spend their whole life feeling inadequate unless they have something that gives them value, that appears valuable to other people who think in a way that's materialistic. And so then they'll spend their whole life faking it to make it. But in reality, it's better to be an average working person for a living than to play a part of a king and starve. That's why when you think you know everything, especially according to the wisdom of this world, you find out that you don't know nothing. Because the wisdom of this world is basically the wisdom of Satan. But the wisdom of God is out of worldly wisdom. It's not wisdom based in this reality. See, God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise of the world. And he uses the weak things of the world to shame what people in the world think is strong. See, what God is trying to do is eliminate pride in this process. And as a kid, you grow up thinking that you're not valuable. Then you want to grow up as quick as you can. And you start finding value in things and stuff and possessions so that your value is based on those external things. So you end up looking at people who don't have those things as less than. That's how the world works. And God's saying anybody who loves the things of the world, the love of the Father is not in them. Pride in possessions. If you need an iPhone, a certain type of car, if you need to live in a certain type of area to have self-esteem because you don't think that you're intrinsically valuable, then you've bought into the world's way of assigning value to people. Oh, you're not nobody. You're not this. You're not this. You don't have this. You don't look like this. So you're not valuable. That's how the world determines people's value. Same thing they did to Jesus. Oh, you don't look like a king. You don't have these shiny things that remind us of what king we're used to seeing. So therefore, you're not a king. So the ways of this world values people based on external stuff. This world values people based on possessions, what it looks like. Some adults go into the world when they're grown, and they're looking to establish themselves for the sake of establishing their identity. They go out and start building a life for themselves that's supposed to justify their worth. Houses, cars, you start buying stuff, and that stuff is supposed to justify your value. A person is valuable no matter what they have. A person is intrinsically you're valuable no matter what possessions you own. But this type of person grows up and they assume that what they have makes them valuable and important. That's why the Bible says rich people always think that they are wise. But a poor person who has insight into character knows better. The Bible says it's better to be honest and poor than rich and dishonest. It says evil people are trapped by their own sins while honest people are happy and free. That's true. It says wicked people run when nobody's chasing them, but an honest person's bold as a lion. That's true. It says righteous people get what they want, but wicked people get what they fear the most. And see, here's the thing. Let me break it down a little farther. When you got all the money in the world, who do you really have to share it with once you done spent your whole life hoarding it? When you think that you can swindle everything, when you think that everything's about getting over and swindling and you lying all the time, who's really going to want to be around somebody who lies all the time? The world's based on pride, and the world sees somebody humble as somebody weak, somebody submissive. But in reality, what the world tells you is weak, God says is strong. Then you end up serving money. You'll do certain things for money, but you won't do certain things for God when you're grown. Like, say, for an example, you'll stop cussing for your job, but you won't stop using profanity for righteousness' sake, will you? You treat people nice on your job, people that you don't even know, but you won't treat people nice that you know. You won't treat people right that you know. That's an example of serving money but not serving God. The Bible says the rich and the poor have one thing in common. The Lord made them both. So don't get caught up in treating people some way because it looks like they're a certain way, and then treating another type of person another way because it seems like they're another way. Don't get caught doing that. Don't end up at the end of your life and you realize you judge people based on what they had.